This, as I'm sure a ton of you are aware, is the Quest Pro. I've had mine for about 4 or 5-ish months now, and it's slowly become my main VR headset. And no, it's not because I'm a Meta fanboy, and it's certainly not because this thing is perfect. In fact, it's far from it, especially for the price tag that I bought it at, since I bought it before all the price drops. And it's certainly not my best headset, but there are some things about it that have made it the headset I pick up when I want to play VR. So, let me tell you all about that. I'm Mysticle, and this is my Quest Pro review. Let's begin with the specs. The Quest Pro has 2 displays, and these ones are actually placed at an angle. They give you a resolution of 1920 by 1800 per eye, and sure, that's definitely not the highest number out there. Even if you compare it to the Quest 2, that's got a resolution of 1920 by 1832 per eye, so very close, but the Quest 2 is actually higher. And especially not when you compare it with something like the Pico 4, which has a resolution of 2160 by 2160 per eye. But coupled with its pancake lenses, that bump in clarity is certainly there, and you can see a massive difference between this and something like a Quest 2. The maximum refresh rate on this headset is also quite disappointing, as it caps out at about 90 Hz, whereas something like the Quest 2 gives you a maximum of 120. The headset sports a Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Plus CPU, whereas the Quest 2 and the Pico 4 and most of the other competitors are sporting just an XR2. The XR2 Plus compared to the XR2 gives you about 50% higher sustained power and about 30% better thermal performance. And the fact that the headset also has 12 gigabytes of RAM gives it a pretty substantial boost over other devices, like the Pico 4, which has 8, and the Quest 2, which has 6. The Quest Pro also has a new set of cameras. Instead of having the 4 cameras in the 4 corners of the headset, like most other headsets have, the Quest Pro gives you a new layout of 5 cameras, 2 on the sides of the headset itself, 2 in the front, and 1 RGB camera in the middle. And that RGB camera isn't to be overlooked. It gives you full color pass-through that is depth accurate, as it takes the combined image from the other 4 black and white cameras and overlays the color on them from that RGB camera. And sometimes it's not 100% perfect, but you can't really tell unless you bring something super close to your face. Other than that, it's been pretty good, even though that RGB camera and the image clarity on it isn't exactly something you would hope for when paying this much for a headset. But being able to witness augmented reality in a headset like this has been truly amazing. Now, I almost forgot to tell you about the face and eye tracking, as this headset does, as a matter of fact, have both. But I almost forgot about it because I barely ever use it, simply because even though it has those 2 pretty amazing features, not many apps and games actually support it yet, which is heavily unfortunate, because it works really well from my being able to test it in games like Horizon. But it is there, and I do like it, and I hope that it gets used more in the future, especially now that VR chat is going to be getting standalone support for it. I know for a fact I'll be using those 2 quite a bit more. The Quest Pro also comes with its own set of standalone inside-out tracked controllers, and these were definitely the biggest part of this headset when it was first released. This is where all the hype was. They're a pretty big deal. They have their own Snapdragon chips inside them, and they're basically tiny Android phones. Yeah, those things actually run a version of Android. And people have been memeing throughout my comment section that I should run Doom on the Quest Pro controllers, but they don't exactly have a screen, so I don't know how we'd do that. But either way, I still find that pretty cool. They've got 3 little cameras on them that allow the controllers to track themselves. So, unlike other headsets that use their own cameras in order to track the controllers and lose tracking of the controllers whenever they move out of the range of those cameras, the Quest Pro can track its controllers wherever they are, which, as you can imagine, improves the tracking quality and also allows you to put the controllers, for example, behind your head, as you don't have to worry about losing tracking there, which is pretty fantastic. A few things I didn't really mention here: battery life, because I'm never able to say 100% within my testing how long it's going to last. It really depends on which game you're going to play. The controllers have never died on me, ever, during gameplay. They always survive. The headset maybe about 2-ish hours, depending on what game you play. Another thing, FOV, I didn't really mention it, as this one really depends on your IPD as well, but it's quite similar to all the other headsets, so I don't think that's that big of a factor here. Another nice thing is, because of the fact that it rests on my forehead and you have that dial to move it further and closer to your face, you're able to put on glasses no problem, and I don't actually have to worry about scratching the lenses here or scratching my glasses, so that's really nice. Big plus for that. Talking about glasses, eyes, and IPD, the IPD range range on the Quest Pro is all the way from 55mm to 75mm, and it'll help you adjust those lenses using eye tracking, which is really cool. The sweet spot on it is also fantastic because of those pancake lenses. It's almost as if it's the entire lens. Okay, now with the specs and details out of the way, let's move on to what actually matters. I am still mostly a PC VR gamer. Nothing is changing that. I have a powerful PC to run PC VR titles, so of course I'm going to be using the extra power whenever I can. However, a lot of people don't have a PC like this at their disposal, so let's talk about the software. There's no denying the fact that currently Meta is leading in the space of software on standalone VR headsets. And while I have had issues in the past with my Quest 2 doing some really funny things with the interface, the Quest Pro seems rock solid in this regard. Whether it's just because of the added RAM or the extra processing power, I have had no issues or any glitches of any kind with the Quest Pro. The Quest Pro, because of that added RAM, also gives you the ability to play 2D apps and listen to music in the background while being in other titles, which is a pretty big deal for those that love to listen to music while playing things like Robo Recall Unplugged or other titles like that, listening to some hardcore tunes in the background. This is a long requested feature on other headsets, but as I said before, that's almost definitely thanks to the 12 gigs of RAM inside this one, and that's why others aren't getting it, as that 12 gigs of RAM is allowing the Quest Pro to run those apps in the background without having to close out of the game. The titles on standalone headsets are also quite important. This is also where the Quest Pro shines. Again, I don't use standalone mode that much, but there's no denying that the Quest lineup definitely has the largest category of games and apps available to the user. Whether you go for a Quest 2, a Quest Pro, or any future Quest devices, you usually won't have to worry about whether a certain standalone title is going to be available on those headsets. That being said, a lot of people don't like standalone for this exact reason. They're saying that the quality of games has been drastically decreased in order to make them run on these standalone devices, and I cannot deny that. We've been seeing less of a focus on PC VR and more of a focus on standalone, ever since that was where the user base went. I know that now the PSVR 2 is out, and I do not doubt that that is a fantastic headset, especially with all the positive reviews that are coming out. Sony is also planning some pretty big releases for that one, so I don't doubt that that user base is also going to have their selection of some really high quality VR games. However, I don't own a PSVR 2 or a PS5, so I can't exactly compare these headsets to each other. Plus, I don't think that they're exactly comparable either. They're two completely different fish. Now let's move on to why this headset has actually become my main device, especially since I play PC VR. It really doesn't make any sense. I've also got a Pimax 8KX that I love, and the specs on that would be much better for PC VR. Even the Pico 4 would be better in this regard. Well, it actually comes down to a few things that might just be me in particular. The main one here is the ease of use. I've been using different headsets for a while now, and I've run into all sorts of issues on them basically sooner or later. I have no doubt that I'm going to run into some issues on the Quest Pro as well. Meta is known for releasing updates, fixing other things, and destroying others. But for now, this thing has been rock solid in performance and in reliability. So right now, it's just pick up and play. And I quite literally mean pick up and play. You see, the Quest Pro comes with a charging dock, which means it's always ready. This could, once again, be one of those things that only applies to me. But I have a tiny play space, a tiny room for that matter, so I don't exactly have anywhere to place these headsets to charge them. And I've run out of sockets to plug anything into anyway. But the biggest one here, for me personally, is I'm one of those people that would just forget. I would forget to plug a headset in, while the Quest Pro, because it's got a dock, I literally just place it on there and it charges, and I'm ready to pick it up and play whenever. And this has actually definitely increased the amount of time I spend in VR, as being able to just pick up a headset and go whenever you feel like it is really amazing. And this dock also charges the controllers, which is an added benefit since they don't use AA batteries. The fact that the Quest Pro has a spot on my desk and I can just plop it down on the dock and pick it up whenever is fantastic. Now, there was a bit of a learning curve to the dock, as you saw there, but after I got used to it, it's pretty easy. Another thing for me is wireless PC VR. I don't use Link, but it comes free with it. I use Virtual Desktop, and the fact that I can just launch the headset, put it on my head, use hand tracking to turn on Virtual Desktop before I even grab the controllers, and be ready to go with PC VR, it's all really, really simple. The fact that I don't even need to pick up the controllers, and I'm already in Virtual Desktop within basically a minute of putting on the headset is crazy. And that added clarity definitely improves the visuals of PC VR. I know, I could get a better resolution and a better FOV with my Pimax 8KX, but I feel like wireless PC VR and pancake lenses have completely won me over, especially since with the Pimax, I need to play around with plugging in a wire, then routing it through my pulley system, and hoping that my PC doesn't trigger over current protection because I've got too many USBs plugged in. Yes, that has happened before. I know this is a very me problem, but my room does seem to be getting smaller instead of bigger. So I don't exactly have somewhere where I can permanently place a PC VR headset and have it plugged in the whole time. I also found myself using the colored augmented reality quite a bit. Even though the resolution of it is definitely not the highest, it's something nice that you can do before you jump into bed. Sometimes before bed, I'd play a song in the background and play something like Cubism with hand tracking for a bit, just to chill out. It makes the experience just feel whole, makes me feel like I'm able to pick up this headset again whenever I feel like it, and it'll just work. That doesn't mean everything is perfect though. The price, for example, when I bought this thing was a whole 1,800 euro. And yes, unfortunately, I paid that, which I still think is a very questionable decision on my end, and I would never have recommended anyone buys this headset at that price. But now, of course, it's gone through multiple different price drops, and it could be an easier pill to swallow for some. The headband, some might argue, is one of the most important parts of a headset, and the one on this isn't exactly perfect. Because the battery's in the back, it's very non-adjustable, and the only resting force is on your forehead. And there is no strap at the top to be able to kind of lay it down on your head like most other headsets. It's also very, very simple to put on incorrectly, leading to many others that haven't used the headset before, after a prolonged period of time, having forehead pains, which is not very good. You don't want to be in pain while in VR. You want something to be comfortable. And I'm still waiting on someone like VRCover to create a third-party facial interface for this headset, because it comes with partial light blockers, which I've actually never found myself using, as I feel like VR is perfectly fine without them, which I totally didn't expect. But if you want the full facial interface to be 100% immersed, it's not exactly cheap. The battery life in standalone mode is also not fantastic, but it's not terrible. I do find myself sometimes having to plug in a power bank to the headset additionally in order to finish a game of Demeo, which of course isn't perfect, but it does usually get me through a few games. Overall though, especially now with its much reduced price tag to $1,000, would I recommend that people go for it? Well, definitely not yet. Anyway, if you're on the edge of buying any VR headset, the Quest 3 is just around the corner, and who knows what that's going to bring. It might be exactly what you need for a lot less. I would also recommend that if you're looking for a PC VR headset, you take a look at the Pico 4. You might not need all that ease of use. The Pico 4 has a higher resolution and costs much less, as well as the fact that it's also got pancake lenses and that maximum refresh rate of 90 Hz. Though the system experience you get won't be as nice and fleshed out as something like a Quest, but it has gotten much better throughout its updates. You can check out my review on it right up here. So there you have it. This is why the Quest Pro, while not my best headset, and certainly not without its issues, has become my main virtual reality headset throughout the months. It just seems to be the one that I can pick up and go. No plugging in wires, no being worried if controllers are charged, and I certainly do think that we should be pulling more out of this headset, but hopefully that will come with time. So I'm Mysticle. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I know it was a little bit of a different one. I focused a little bit less on the specs and more about what I actually think about the headset, more about what I use it for, and more about exactly why it has become my main device. So let me know what you think about the Quest Pro. Do you have one, or are you thinking about buying one now after the price drop? If you guys enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. If you disliked it, I guess this one works too, but let me know why down below. If you guys are not yet part of the community, check out the Discord down below and check out the Reddit, where I want to see you posting your spice memes. And thank you so much to all the lovely names going off to my right now. Those guys are my Patreons. Thank you so much, guys. There's some big things happening in the background right now, and you guys are seriously helping right now, so thank you so much. But either way, that's going to be it. And if you guys want to be notified of future content coming up on the channel daily, make sure to smack the subscribe button with your forehead, ding my bell, and see you again in the next video. Peace.